Another kindness to yourself is to meditate. You know, as a society, we've made meditation into something mysterious and difficult to achieve. And yet meditation is one of the oldest and simplest processes there are. All we have to do is to sit or even lie quietly, close our eyes, take a few deep breaths, and our body again will automatically relax. We don't have to force it, it just happens. And we can repeat words like love, or peace, or healing, or anything that's meaningful to us. We could even say, I love myself, or I forgive and I am forgiven, or I'm willing to learn. And then just sit there quietly, and your answers may come immediately, or in a day or two, or whenever. The thing I do most of the time is just say, what is it I need to know? And then I just wait. And what I need to know is revealed to me. You know, you don't have to be rushed. Just allow things to happen. Remember, it's the nature of your mind to think. You're never going to stop your mind from thinking. Some people think that if they meditate, they have to stop their mind from thinking. But you can slow down those dashing thoughts. You just allow them to flow through. And you might, if you're meditating, just notice and sort of say, oh, that's a fear thought. There goes anger. Well, that's a disaster. You see, if you don't give them importance, then they pass through like a soft cloud on a summer day. And you just watch them go. You cannot meditate incorrectly. Any way you first attempt it is going to be right for you. If you begin anywhere and you allow it to become a habit. See, we all have tremendous wisdom within us. Inside of us, I believe, are all the answers to all the questions we're ever going to ask. And unfortunately, most of the time, we're so busy running around creating the soap opera and drama that we call our lives that we forget to quiet down long enough to listen to us. Meditation creates the space where we can quiet down and listen to our inner selves. And you'll never have any idea how wise you are until you quiet down and listen. You can take care of yourself. You do have the answers for yourself. Become connected with yourself through sitting quietly, through meditation. You know, you can think of meditation as focusing on your inner voice. It's like you're focusing and listening. Visualizations are also very important. You create a clear mental picture or an image that enhances your positive affirmations. When I had cancer, I used to visualize cool, clear water flowing through my body and washing out the diseased cells, and my body responding and become very strong and healthy. Now, I know some people like to use visualizations of fighting their cells. They like to fight the disease cells. I personally don't feel good about creating a war in my body. And I think it's better to use an image that dissolves, like the sun could melt, or a magician could transform, or you could use some form of love to make the positive change. But when you're using visualizations, make them positive, some picture that works for you, and everyone can visualize. So let's use these visualizations in a positive way to really enhance what you're doing. Just like, you know, you've used negative visualizations to make a bad situation worse. You can use a positive visualization to make it better. Okay, number 5, praise yourself. Please praise yourself. Criticism breaks down the inner spirit and praise builds it up. So praise yourself as much as you can. Tell yourself how well you're doing with every little thing. Many of us refuse to put any effort into creating a good life for ourselves because we feel we don't deserve it. Our feeling of not being deserving could come from people telling us we didn't, but it could also come from something as simple as early toilet training or being refused an ice cream cone when we were young. Deserving has nothing to do with having good. It's our unwillingness to accept good in our lives. Allow yourself to accept good, whether you think you deserve it or not. And you know, when you think about deserving, there's a few questions I'd like to ask you about this to help you deserve the good that's in the universe. What is it you feel you deserve? What do you feel you deserve? Do you deserve love and joy and all good? Or do you feel deep down that you deserve nothing? Why? Where did that message come from? And are you willing to let it go? What are you willing to put in its place? What different message would you put there? Because remember, these negative messages, something that says you don't deserve or you're not worthy, that's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. What is it you want that you're not now having? Think about that and be clear and specific about what you want and what you deserve. What were the laws about deserving in your home? What did they tell you you don't deserve? Did they tell you you deserve a good smack? Is that the message you got as a child? Did your parents feel that they deserved good things? Do you always have to earn in order to deserve? And were things taken away as a child when you did something wrong? Now, do you really feel you deserve? Do you feel good enough, smart enough, tall enough, pretty enough, bright enough, whatever? What belief is in the way of your deserving? Do you believe you're not good enough? There's not enough money, I'll never amount to anything, I'm not ready yet? What are the beliefs that are in the way of you really deserving? And then the last question about deserving is, what do you have to live for? What do you have to live for? What is the purpose of your life? And what meaning have you created? You know, you're here for a reason. You didn't come just to get a new car every so many years. You really came for a purpose. And what is your purpose? What are you willing to do to experience the good you really deserve? Are you willing to do affirmations? Are you willing to do visualizations? Are you willing to do treatments? Are you willing to forgive people? Are you willing to do regular relaxation and meditation? How much mental effort are you willing to give in order to change your life? Questions to ask yourself. All right, number 6 on loving yourself is support yourself. Find ways to support yourself. Reach out to friends and allow them to help you. It really is being strong to ask for help when you need it, instead of trying to do it all yourself and then being angry at yourself because you can't make it. And there's so many ways, you know, friends can help you. There are, in some areas you find healing circles, and lots of the churches have support groups. And if you can't find what you want, you could even start your own. Start your own support group. All you need is a teddy bear and some good, encouraging thoughts. How do you start a support group? You know, some people think that's so scary. They'd like to have one, but they don't know what to do about it. Well, you know, you can just gather 2 or 3 friends that have the same issues that you have and follow a few guidelines. If you do it with love in your heart, your little group will grow. It's amazing. People will be attracted like a magnet. And don't worry, if you have a little group and it starts to grow, don't worry about where you're going to meet, because the universe will always find a space. Okay, number 7 on loving yourself. Be loving to your negatives. Be loving to your negatives. You created every single negative pattern, every negative habit, everything you have in your life to fulfill a need. And they worked. See, everybody's made negative choices in the past. We all have. However, nobody is stuck with them. The good news is that you always have choice. You can choose again. And you can always choose to let go of the old pattern, and you can choose a different, a more supportive and nourishing thought. Letting go of the old negative pattern with love allows you to move into the new positive patterns with ease. It just makes it so much easier. But punishing yourself You know, with thoughts like, I hate my job, I hate this illness, or I hate this relationship, or whatever, keeps you tied to what you hate, and it doesn't allow anything new and different to come into your life. See, if you run around saying, I hate my job, then the universe gets this message, oh, hates job. So if you get a new job, I guarantee you'll hate your job very shortly, because that's the message that you've put out. You want to release with love. Release whatever's in your life that you're not happy with now with love, and allow then the new stuff to come in. It really does. When you love yourself and you find yourself in the midst of a negative situation, you can say something to yourself like, I'm willing to release the pattern in my consciousness that contributed to this condition. And then you can say a positive affirmation, you know, like, I really deserve only good in my life. I allow the healing powers and the healing energies of the universe to flow through me, really changing my life for the better. Our thoughts and our words are very powerful. And remember, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what negative situation you have right now, you are never wrong. You're never wrong. You're always doing the best you can until you find a better way to handle situations. I love what Dr. John Harrison says in his book, Love Your Disease. He says, it's essential that the patient is congratulated on having worked out a way to get their needs met in as safe a way as possible for them. The patient is never condemned for having multiple operations or illnesses. In fact, quite the opposite, they are congratulated. We have to understand that whatever we have in our life, we have contributed to it because it's our way of handling situations. And to be angry at ourselves because such and such is going on doesn't make any changes. It doesn't make positive changes. What we have to do is fulfill those needs in a much more positive way. And that's what we want to concentrate on. Okay, humor is another powerful releasing tool when it comes to holding on to negatives too long. Sometimes we work so hard on ourselves that we forget to lighten up. You know, laughter's healing. Norman Cousins, healed himself of illness by watching the Three Stooges films and laughing himself into wellness. He wrote a whole book on it. Okay, number 8 on how to love yourself. Take care of your body. It's the house you live in. When you're born, you move into this house, and when you leave the planet, you move out of it. So love the house that you live in and take care of it. You can find exercise that you enjoy, something that's fun to do. And then watch what you put into your body. Drug abuse is so prevalent on the planet, and it's become one of the most popular methods of escape. You know, and if you're into drugs, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that you haven't found a more positive way of fulfilling your needs. You know, drugs beckon to us. They say, come and play with me and I will give you a good time. And it's true, for a little bit, they do. You feel wonderful. But what happens is that they alter our reality. And what isn't evident at first is the terrible price that we have to pay. After taking them for a while, the whole health deteriorates rapidly and you feel terrible all the time. And in addition, you have a negative addiction. And then, people do all sorts of things with that. Drugs lower our immune systems to very dangerous levels. And on one level, you think, well, why would we even consider taking them? Peer pressure may get us to try drugs once, but continued use is another story. I've yet to meet anyone who really loves themselves who's hooked on drugs. We take drugs to escape ourselves and our feelings. And it all begins, again, with not loving ourselves and not appreciating who we are. We take those childhood feelings of not being good enough, and then we try to wipe them out. And this method never works for the drugs or the alcohol or whatever we're using. That wears off, and then we feel worse than we ever did. And then we usually have a load of guilt, too. So we want to know that it's safe for us to feel our feelings. That's okay. Part of loving ourselves is feeling our feelings and acknowledging them. You know, they pass through, they don't stay. Food, we use food. Food really is a fuel for our bodies to help create new cells and to give us good energy. And even though some of us may know the basics of good nutrition, we still often use diet and food to punish ourselves. It's another way. We stuff ourselves or stuff our feelings. We create obesity, we create health crises in our lives. We become a nation of junk food addicts, unfortunately. It's like we've allowed the big food processors and their advertising to influence our eating habits. And doctors, of course, are not even taught about nutrition. If a doctor wants to learn about nutrition, it's almost like an extracurriculum subject they have to take. So they're not going to know a lot about nutrition. Most medicine of the moment is concentrated on surgery and drugs. So if we really want to learn about nutrition, it's something we have to take in our own hands. It's an act of loving ourselves to begin to be aware of what we put in our mouth and how we feel. You know, if you eat lunch and an hour later you start going to sleep, you might ask yourself, what did I eat? Maybe there's something that isn't good for my body at this point in time and space. So start noticing what gives you good energy and what doesn't, what tears you down. So we can either do that by trial and error ourselves, or you can find a good nutritionist to go to who knows some of these answers and can really help. And then there are lots of other good alternative therapies that we can explore to see if they're right for us. Because remember, every body is different from every other body. I mean, you can look around and see that. So no one thing is going to be good for everybody. But, you know, acupuncture is a favorite of mine. There's herbology, there's homeopathy, there's the Bach flower remedies, there's all sorts of body work and massage, there's aromatherapy, there's sound therapy. That's an area that I'm now beginning to explore, how sound waves can accelerate learning and healing. You know, we're in a time right now where the new technologies that we're learning are beginning to combine with ancient healing methods. And I see the possibilities as absolutely enormously, just endless, endless. I think between now and the end of the century, we're going to learn so much. So taking good care of our bodies is an act of loving ourselves. And then there is mirror work, one that I love so much. I have seen so many people change their lives by merely looking in the mirror and saying, I love you. I really, really love you. You know, at first it may seem untrue or even weird, and it can bring up sadness or anger or fear. But if we continue to do this simple affirmation every time we're in front of a mirror, our inner energy begins to shift. Letting go of destructive thoughts and behaviors and accepting ourselves as naturally lovable becomes so much easier.